Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I am so happy to have you here. It is Friday, December 31st, and I know I have been away for a few minutes. I think my last upload was last Wednesday or Tuesday. I don't even remember. We were very tired, as in my whole family. We were exhausted and we had so much going on with life. And let's just say December was the busiest month of my life when it came to the trial. So I'm here, I'm back, I'm ready to go. And I hope you guys enjoyed the time with your family. I had wanted to take an extended break, and I'm apologizing ahead of time if I didn't let you guys know. You know, YouTubers need time off too. It did not December 9th that she has been without her husband. So on December 9th, Anna actually was done with being her, Josh was taken into custody. And Josh has been in protective custody in Washington County since December 9th. So there's been a lot of misinformation that's been going around online, and there has been some details that I've been able to ascertain through the detention center to basically give you some better understanding of what's going on with Josh right now, as well as like what kind of privileges that he has, who his visitors are, and what we can expect moving forward. So this is all right, I'm going to turn off my comments again. Okay, not paying attention to comments, just so you know. So Anna Duggar and Josh Duggar have been in they've been married since 2009. Well, none of you guys will ever forget the loyalty song that he did, where he sang he would be loyal to her, which is an IBLP song. It was the most cringy moment of the Duggars on television. And there has been a lot of details about their relationship that have become more publicly known through the trial about, other relationships Josh had. And just, people are still wondering, like, what's going on with Anna? Is she going to divorce him? Is she going to stay with him? We have people that, you get little glips and blips from In Touch. You guys, can I tell you something? I was talking to a source yesterday, and they told me this really interesting little tidbit. So it was a couple years ago, and they'd run into Jim Bob, and I think they said it was at church. I can't remember. And they noted that during the service at church, Jim Bob had been like taking a video of like a play or something that was happening in the church. And they then said a couple days later, they noticed that the video that Jim Bob had taken in church was suddenly being leaked as an exclusive in Touch. So they were saying that they think that Jim Bob, who sued In Touch for the release of the report, also uses In Touch maybe as a place to dump stories about his family. I was like kind of shocked, but then not shocked, because I don't know if that surprises you, but they said, yeah, we were at church. We noticed he was videoing this pageant or whatever was being on, a play. And then that same video shows up on In Touch. And I was like, wow, that's wild, but not surprising. So I don't know if that surprises any of you or not. Okay, so let's talk about what is going on with the visits. So there has been, not surprising, says people. Okay, so let's talk about what is going on with the visits right now and where Josh is at and some of the privileges. So there has been a ton of, I guess, I don't know, clickbaity type titles. And obviously we try to keep things as accurate as possible over on this side of things. And so what I was looking at was someone that I have helping me in, one of my helpers that does some work for me, was able to grab these logs for me. And so I want to just show to you Josh's visiting schedule. So here is Josh, his schedule, which is let me see if I can get this. Can I get this to hide? View. All right. I'm trying to hide that, but it's not letting me. Okay. So as you can see, this is the visitation log. This is through the 28th. So it's a couple days old, but this was obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request. And as you can see, this is his video visitation history. So Josh Duggar is in protective custody, which is not the same as solitary. So solitary is when someone is actually in a discipline or when someone's being disciplined by the facility. He is not in a place where he's actually being disciplined. He's in protective custody for his protection because of issues that this specific jail has had with prisoner on prisoner stuff. And he is the kind of offender that is a high, easy, people don't like people like Josh. So you can see that Anna has been contacting Josh. So she had a visit with him on the 12th and the 13th. And then there was a 6-day period where she had no visits with him. So I'm guessing that for about a week while he was in there, he was limited in his visitors. He was actually booked in on the 9th. And so he had about 6 days between the 13th and the 19th where he had no visitors. And then Anna continued on with her visits on the 19th, the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th, the 25th, and the 27th. I don't know if she's done any more visits between the 27th and the 31st. I'm assuming she has. So these are actually what are called video visits, which are a request that she has to make through the prison. The detention center has a video kiosk system. And so she makes a request through the kiosk system, and she has to schedule this up to 24 hours ahead of time. Josh is, according to so we reached out to Washington County Detention Center. I'm going to just call them WCDC to verify what his schedule is like while he's in protective custody. And they let us know that he has 1 hour a day out of his room. And that is where he can use the kiosks. So he has 1 hour to use video kiosks, do any emails, or make phone calls. He could also do other things, but that's he has 1 hour outside. While he's the other 23 hours, they said that he could have limited access to a tablet. So they were not sure if the tablet was given to him. They didn't know if that was something he was accessed to, but some people in protective custody do get limited access to a tablet for the other 23 hours that they are in lockdown. So he gets 1 hour a day where he can use a kiosk, and it's during that time that Anna seems to be scheduling his visits. So we know that this is video visitation because he can't do video visitation without, he can't call out on video visitation. So we clarified as well with them about who is the person making these, and they told us that it's Anna, which you can see up here. It says caller. And it does appear like she had 19 visits, but that's actually not true. She had some that just disconnected because of money. This is actually what I'm talking about, Lois. Okay, so he can have up to 2 visitors in a video, but children are not allowed on visits with WCDC unless they are pre-approved. And so unless he gets an approval through WCDC, it's unlikely that he is actually communicating at this time with his children. And given that they are in the process of doing pre-sentencing, all the different aspects of looking at his kids and everything, I highly doubt that he is getting access to his children. And video kiosks are actually monitored by them. So basically what it's doing is only 2 adults can be on there at any one time. So that's not going to be a situation where Jim Bob and Michelle are going to just be popping on. It looks like Jim Bob and Michelle have actually made no requests whatsoever to see their son. And there's also no, in terms of like the kids, like I said, highly unlikely that they're just visiting the kids. And at this point, it's only Anna up until the 27th that had made a request. There was a individual that made a call or scheduled an appointment, and it could, based on how quickly they disconnected, it's some guy named John. My guess is that it was routed incorrectly to Josh. So this is not including if Josh makes collect phone calls. So he might have made a collect call to Anna on the days that she did not schedule a visit. So that could be why she's not visiting him every day. He is allowed to make phone calls on a payphone, they said, which is a collect call system. So he would actually have to call her, and then she has to accept the charges. Also, in terms of what can be allowed in there and what can be sent to him, we asked for clarification from the WCDC, and this is what they told us. They said that there is no mail allowed in the facility, that any mail that is sent to the facility is scanned, and then Josh can read it on the kiosk. The only mail that's physically allowed inside the facility is anything that's marked legal by his attorneys. So attorneys' paperwork can be sent to him, and all other mail is scanned and put on the kiosks. He is not allowed any packages that are from outside the facility. You can purchase packages through they use what's called jail ATM for all emails, scheduling, and package sending. They can also send money so that he can buy things from the commissary. So it's very expensive for prisoners. Every single thing costs money. All phone calls cost money. Now, here's the thing. If she wanted to reduce the cost of her visits, Anna can actually go and use a kiosk in the lobby at the facility. So anyone can go to the facility and actually use a kiosk in the lobby, and it's free that way. Otherwise, if she wants to pay for it, she can do her visits from home with a computer and a microphone and a camera. I hope that helps. Thank you. Glad I'm back too. It's actually not a phone log. So what I was showing you is not a phone log. This is his visitor log, which is completely different. This would not be anything with his, so we clarified if this includes phone calls, and they said no. This is only the video visits, which you can see at the very top, video visitation history. So it's only video visitation history. So these are what he is dealing with. And as you can see, she's being like, it's $7.50. This was $7.50. It's $7.50 for 30 minutes, $15 for an hour on the kiosk. So not horribly expensive, but also that would add up over time if you have to talk with them every single day. Anyways, So Anna is currently the only visitor for Josh. Does Bubba reference? No, I actually just created this in a blue color. I put a filter on it when I put it up on my Instagram, just so it was easier to read. Sometimes when I post white on Instagram, it's harder for people to read. So I literally changed the background of blue. But you can see that it, and if you're wondering, no phone numbers are revealed here. This is an ID for Josh. This is a caller ID number. There's like a record number, so no phone numbers are being shared here at all. They do get expensive over time. You are correct. Okay. Yes. Rest in peace, Betty White. I did a tribute to her on my Instagram. I absolutely was a humongous fan of hers. I'm so sad to hear about this. Okay. So let's talk. That's easy to read. Good idea. I tried. The blue definitely helps. Yeah, I tried to make it a little bit easier to read. Okay, so now, Anna has been frequently visiting him. Now, on top of that, there has been, where do we go with this? Okay, let's start with this. So Amazon announced that they are going to have a new docu-series that's going to be coming out about the Duggars, and the slated time frame for that to begin will be in the end of 2022, early 2023. And the docu-series is hoping to be sort of an expose about the Duggars' connections to the Institute in Basic Life Principles. And it is also going to focus on the Bates and the Plath family, and potentially any other of these larger families that have been on reality television, and what, if any, connection there might be between TLC and these families, and really the overall conversation about reality television and so forth. There's been a lot of questions about who's going to be involved in this. Are the Duggars going to be in this? Currently, there's no, I don't really know. I do know of 4 people involved at this point, but I can't say who else, and I can't say who. I know very loose details about what's involved in this docuseries at this point. But if you're wondering if it's going to be favorable to the Duggars, that would be a no. That will be a negatory. I think it looks like it's going to be more of a conversation about how the Duggars were able to bypass all of these obstacles to be on television for such a long time, with in plain sight. This cult was behind all of it. Yeah, well, I think anytime there is a discussion that opens up a wider conversation about this, it's a good idea. Yes, so the Plath family will be included, even though the Plaths are actually not a part of the Institute in Basic Life Principles. They are ascribers to the Quiverful movement. And when you start talking about the Institute in Basic Life Principles, you can't ignore the fact that there is a considerable overlap with these fundamentalist Christians. And so there's this huge overlap in the Christian fundamentalism on the evangelical side, as well as on the independent Baptist side, even in the Southern Baptist world, where there's a lot of overlap between all of these different churches. And they use a lot of the same books, and they have a lot of the same speakers. Like, they have the same grifters, like, Michael and Debbie Pearl, SM Davis. There's all these different ministries. So I think that's kind of why the Plaths are being included in that. JB is fighting its production. I haven't heard that, because I don't think that's true. But I mean, you can't stop anything from like this happening. It's called freedom of the press. Okay. So one thing that we have been working on is there has been, oh wait, I'm sorry, I missed this one. Do you think Anna is paying for the video visits or Jim Bob? Does Anna have any money at this point? I don't know. I really don't. Anna is actually staying in the warehouse, and the kids were with the Duggars on Christmas. I'm not sure if Anna was actually there or not. I don't know if, the Duggars are not likely to show photographs of Jim Bob, Michelle, or Anna right now because they're kind of bad for branding right now. Like I said on my Instagram, if you are following any of the posts by the kids, that's really an extension of Jim Bob and Michelle right now. They really do rely on their kids to market for them. And, they're trying very hard to maintain an image, whatever that image may be. But I don't think they really understand fully about whether or not they've been canceled. I don't know if they really get that there's not going to be a lot of opportunities for them. Dauntless says that she has mixed feelings between us who are ex-IBLP, but I'm excited about anything that will be a blow to the IBLP. Yeah, so one of the things that I think has been one of the bigger questions for many of the survivors of this is wondering about how they are going to integrate survivors of the IBLP and what their stories are going to be like. Probably one of the most challenging aspects for any person that's going to be doing a documentary about the Duggars is not just getting around the fact that they're exposing the IBLP, but there is a very, very big elephant in the room that, yes, the Duggars are a part of this group, but there's thousands of people that have been hurt as a product of this. And so you need to pay homage to the individuals that have been hurt, be respectful to their stories, talk about what harm was done to them, what kind of direction, how does someone recover from something like this? How does someone leave this kind of world? What does it mean overall to leaving? It's been a pretty wild, few months as more and more people are starting to share their stories. There's another documentary that's going to be made as well. This one is going to be specifically focused on the individuals that sued Bill Gothard. So in 2014, a number of individuals came forward and made accusations against Gothard. The lawsuit was later dropped, not because they didn't have a basis for it. There was just complications with statute of limitations and I think some overall costs of it. And these people are now involved in a documentary with a group out of Seattle that's going to be focused more on the recovery side of it and sharing their stories, a little bit more sensitive to these people. So 2 different documentaries, both looking at the IBLP. And I think at this time, it's a good thing that they get a wider audience and a wider network of people to look at this. I think there's been a lot of discussions about this, but nothing on a big scale. So Gothard is actually suing the Institute in Basic Life Principles for breach of contract, like something about fiduciary duties. He basically wants the cult back. So that's why he's suing them. They kicked him out and he's saying that how can we support directly to IBLP survivors? Well, I think the best thing that you can do is be kind to them and very sensitive to them and gentle with them and be very, very very, very sensitive to them, and just tell them that you believe them and you see them and that you appreciate them. And, there's a lot of them now in my comments on Instagram. There's tons of them here in the chat. All of you that are from this world will be seen and heard. And we are so sorry you went through this, and just be respectful of their process. A lot of them can be extremely scared to speak out, afraid to tell their stories. So just be very mindful of that. So the Bates will be included in this. And I think the big thing is that the Bates have really pulled the wool over the public's eyes about their involvement in this. But overall, the Bates are very involved in this cult. So, okay. I'm not talking about donations. I don't know about any donations. I haven't been cleared about any of that. So I don't know what to say about donations. They have they have a Recovering Grace website, and they have some private survivor groups that they have, but I don't know about any like monetary stuff at this point in time. There's no need. Oh, boycott bringing up Bates. Well, you can do whatever you want. I don't say yay or nay. No, there's not a fund that I know of at this point to donate to. Speak up when people speak kindly about the Duggars and Bates. Yes. So some of them get very upset when people downplay the Bates involvement. I've seen quite a few survivors in my comments on Instagram specifically get really upset when people defend the Bates. And people have really deep hurts from Gil Bates and Gil Bates defending and helping Bill Gothard. Because of Gil and the board, these survivors weren't able to get the vindication and the they just were not, they covered up what Bill was doing. And you can't ignore the fact that Bill and Gil was helping Bill cover things up. So those people are the survivors are very hurt by Gil and the board. So I think you have to be so aware that while you think that they're great people, to the survivors that were hurt by Bill Gothard and Gil Bates, who covered up what Bill did, they would say very differently. Not true, Mark. The Bates are part of a cult. Okay. So let's move on to what the Duggar boys are doing and what's happening with the sentencing. I have nothing to say about what Josh Duggar is likely to be sentenced to, because we have not seen any reports filed yet by the prosecutors. The prosecutors will do pretrial reports, and so will the defense, and they will make a recommendation to the judge on how much time they would like. Speculation is really not helpful to anyone about what's going to be sentenced, what he'll be sentenced to. Anyone that's asserting that Josh is going to get X amount of years or X amount of years is merely speculating. We're going to just stick to the facts that he could be sentenced to up to 40 years. That is what the lead U.S. attorney has said publicly, even though he was only technically being sentenced on one. The judge can include both charges, which actually brings up the sentencing to up to 40 years. So it's really up to the judge at this point. Said now, when it comes to Josh Duggar's when it comes to sentencing, we're not just dealing with financial or with the number of years, but Josh is also facing really, really heavy fines. So Josh Duggar's charges included 20 years, up to 20 years for each charge, and then also a fine of up to $250,000 per charge in fines. Because Josh's involvement kind of contained the most depraved content out there, he's likely to see a max in fines. It's probable that he could see the 250 for both. So he could be facing up to $500,000. And that means that the money that he has is ripe for the picking by the court. Okay. So when Josh was indicted, they went through what was called they explained that he had what was called a forfeiture allegation. And they discussed that, any money that he had, if he was trying to hide it, could be rightfully taken by the federal government. So I'm just going to try to pull up the forfeiture information here. So at the very end of his indictment, it basically says that they've already said that they're going to take his computer, so he doesn't get his computer back. They can also request any property, real or personal, that constitutes traceable to gross profits or other proceeds obtained from the offenses in the indictment. So if they do a forensic analysis of his accounts and realize he made money, they can take any assets that they believe he might have made from it. There's been no allegations like that. They can also take any real property, including the computer and the equipment. And it says at the very, very bottom of his indictment, and I'll just show this to you because people sometimes don't believe me. That if any of the property subject to forfeiture as a result of act or of omission by the defendants cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, has been transferred or sold to or deposited with a third person, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, has been substantially diminished in value, or has been commingled with other property which cannot be subdivided without difficulty. It is the intent of the United States under Title 18 United States Code that they will seek forfeiture of any other property of said defendants up to the value of the above forfeitable property. So if Josh is going to, if they find out that anything has been hidden and he's commingled it with, like, say, his brothers or with Anna, they said, we don't care. We will get the amount of the money if we need to, and we will make that request at the time, up to the amount that you owe us. And then when it comes to his fines, there was actually a similar component listed in that when he was released on bail, and I'll show you what that says. Give me 1 second. Okay. At the very end of his bond agreement, it says that they can actually let's see where it says this. Oh, maybe it's not in here. Basically, if Josh hides assets, they said they'll find it. I hope that helps. Okay. That's what's going on with that. So when it comes down to it, Josh Duggars could be on the hook for any money that he made if they find that he made money through any of their sentencing reporting. And they also will have fines. And the government says that if you've moved any money around and you owe us the money, we will take it. So with that being said, we need to talk about Josh Duggar commingling his assets with his brothers. Sorry if this is going to hurt some of your feelings, but we have to get really honest here about Josh Duggar and all of these LLCs. So presently, I've been working on a project, which at a later date, I'll be able to tell you much more about. But I have been working and compiling a list of all of the LLCs that are in the Duggars' names or people connected to the Duggars, okay? So I want to show you a list which contains no addresses or anything like that. This is just a working list of the current LLCs that I've found. So this is actually a list of all of the different LLCs that I've made, which you can see over here is who are registered to. Now, Anna Duggar is registered to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because she's an officer and an incorporator of Western Ridge Financial. So she, between the time of March of 2019, and she's on ALB Investments. So I'm sorry, 9 total LLCs. Now, some of these are dissolved. So 2 of them, the Ravenglass South and the Cambridge Arbor, are both dissolved. So there's 7 total that she's listed on as active. But as we scroll down, and this, I'm sorry, 10, North Graham Road is also another one connected to her, and Five Stone Group. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. There's a lot. 10, 11. There's a lot in Josh's name. But as we scroll down, you will notice there are a total of 43 that we've located of the Duggars, and including Austin Forsyth. So 43 total LLCs. And the interesting aspect here is that Sole Deo Gloria, which is registered in Anna Duggar's name, actually has an officer of John David Duggar. So on several of the LLCs that are involved with Josh, his brothers are actively part of as well. North Graham Road, this one over here, actually is registered to Joseph Schumacher, who is a good friend of the Duggars, and the address listed for this specific LLC that was created just this fall is the address of Medic Corp, which is located on Chapman in Arkansas, and that building is owned by John David Duggar. So John David, who said he never wanted to be like Josh, has been very, very active in business dealings with Josh. He has been actively working on property deals, transferring properties, selling properties. It's kind of a hot mess. So there are a lot of LLCs that are at play here. You'll notice that, there's ones that Jim Bob has, which are Mad Family, Champion Motor Cars, Duggar Processing, which is gone now, Duggar Aviation, and Yellow Ribbon Ministries, which is a nonprofit, Duggar Properties, Warehouse Space LLC, Mount Kessler RV Resort, Save and Go, which is revoked, and Shiloh Properties, which is a brand new one that they started this fall. So Jim Bob has his own amount. John David has quite a few as well. So this from here to here, Jana Duggar has one, Josiah has one, Jedediah has 2, Jason has 1, Jeremiah has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. James Duggar, which I believe is the younger James, not James Robert. And then Austin has 3 of his own. Now, one of the things that is really interesting is this man named Ross Little. Ross Little is a millionaire from the state of Louisiana. And Ross has been, for the better part of 30 years, a part of the Republican National Committee. And he has been a chair at the Republican National Conventions for the presidency. And he is now heavily involved with the Duggars, and he is flipping properties with the Duggars. He is listed as an owner of Austin's company, Red Oak Homes. So he is helping Austin Forsyth fund homes. Ross Little is also helping Jason Duggar flip properties as well. He is basically buying property from the Duggars and then funding the building for Jason, and then they split the profits of the sale. This was all told to me by a source, but it is backed up by property records, which show that Ross Little, who is really big in the Republican world, is actively involved with the family. And I'll just show you who he is so you can see that I'm not lying. So this is Ross Little. This is actually taken directly from the Lafayette Republican page, and it was to reelect him as a parliamentarian for the Lafayette Republican Parish Executive Committee. And it says that he has over 30 years of service, and he has served as a Republican national delegate. And he's been a part of the delegate selection committee and as a rules committee member. So he's pretty big in the Republican Party, and he has now become friendly with the Duggars and is now involved in property flipping with them as well. So that is who is helping them run their properties. So currently, I also want to just show to you the evidence that John David is actually intermingled in business with Josh, so that people won't say that I am lying. We always bring you the receipts. So the Duggars are heavily involved in a specific area in Bella Vista, which is a town in Benton County. And this is actually not, this is in Benton County as well. It's a different property, but it's a warranty deed, which was done, I believe this one was in the spring of 2020. And this is the Soli Deo Gloria LLC. And if you notice right here, it says, on the 3rd of July of 2020, signed by John David Duggar, Vice President. So John David is in business with Josh, helping Josh flip properties. Not only that, but this is Jeremiah. So this is Jeremiah selling a piece of property to let me show you. This is Jeremiah basically selling a piece of property to the Lafayette person. So Little Capital LLC. This is the organization that's owned by Ross Little. This is Jeremiah Duggar selling Ross a piece of land on the 29th of September of 2021. And then Mr. Jeremiah Mr. Jason through Build Master Construction is building homes on the properties. And then once these homes are done, Joseph Duggar is listing the properties and selling them. So all of the boys are intertwined. So Ross is helping fund this. Jason is then building. Once Jason builds the house, Joseph is then listing. John David and Josh's companies have been intermingled within all of this. Jim Bob Duggar obviously involved in this as well. So if you want to know why the boys have not spoken out about their brother, it is because they were involved in business dealings with their brother and had been working with their brother for years. Because of that, and because of the financial ramifications, this is making them feel, this is making people feel very unsafe about their financial situation. And I'm going to turn on members only chat for now, since there seems to be a lot of fighting with the chat. I really want to avoid that. So my chat now will go to members only, so that you guys can stop arguing in the chat, which is counterproductive to this. And if you'd like to become a member, click at the top and become a member. You can join for like $1.99 a month. Okay. So this kind of shows to you that they're flipping the properties to Ross. This was the property that Jeremiah bought. So he bought it on a day like on, let's see. He bought the property on the 9th of September from this couple, and then he then sold it and turned that around and gave it to Mr. Little a couple days later. Okay. And Josiah is also providing, Josiah is also involved in this too, because his company, Milagro Designs, is also selling properties then to Ross Little. And then Ross Little is also helping to fund Austin, who is working in the exact same subdivision. And who else is working in the subdivision? Dwayne Swanson. So Dwayne Swanson is also involved in this, who is Lauren Duggar's father. So there's a lot of like tangled messiness in all of this. So when we start talking about what's happening with the finances, it's tricky because Josh Duggar is intermingling and all of their finances are combined. And so for that reason and that reason alone, what is happening is some of the younger boys who have very large bank accounts now because of this house flipping that they're doing, are getting worried about if Josh Duggar, now that he's convicted, if that means that their money could potentially be stripped from them as a part of the fines. So my source was telling me that about a week before the trial started, some of the younger boys were a little bit hot-headed and angry about what was going on and were allegedly talking about hiding assets so that if Josh is convicted and the feds come after him for fines or any money that he made, that their money would be safe. So yeah, what about the Duggars is not messy. You are welcome, Care Bear. Okay, so on top of all of that, Jim Bob and Michelle actually flipped the first property to Sole de Gloria in the very beginning. And that property was then granted to them. And then once they granted this, let me just show you, where is it? Once this was done, let me see if I can blow this one up. This one, once they actually gave the house, this was the house that was up on the hill. If you remember, I can show you a picture in a minute. But once they sold the house to Sole Deo Gloria, then John David, whose signature is right here, he went ahead and subdivided the property into 3 separate plats. So this is where things get a little bit messy, and I want to explain this to you because it's a little bit complicated. So I told you guys that Jim Bob was telling people that he did not pay for Josh's defense, allegedly, and that Josh actually paid for his own defense, which I guess was like told to the kids so that they didn't get mad at him. So in September or October, October 5th, I believe, Josh and Anna sold this part of the track right here. Okay. So they sold this, and this was sold to some friends of the family who are realtors. And I'm just going to open my phone up because I actually have the names on my Instagram. I'm not trying to be rude by any means. I just want to make sure that I don't misspeak. It's important that I get these names correct. So they sold the properties to Barry and Myra Graves, and that happened on October 5th of 2021. And so this property, which contained the home, which needed to be fully gutted and remodeled, that went for $450,000. So that sale happened on the 5th. Then, if you see how these are subdivided, this part over here is one track. It goes like all the way down here. I wish I could actually show you, but it's like goes like this, 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 and up. And then there's this other part over here that's a separate track, okay? So they ended up, then once this house sold, days later, they ended up, Sole Deo Gloria ends up selling, I think, track B or C to a new LLC that's also run by John David and Anna. I don't know why they do these things unless, you know, they had proceeds or something weird. So they had $450,000 over here that they had as they got for this sale. And then on a day later, they transfer this property to North Graham Road. So again, on the warranty deed, Anna transfers the property from Sole Deo Gloria to North Graham Road. And then Anna is listed as a member of both companies. So she's basically transferring from one company to another. And then she takes a mortgage out for $200,000. Which is in name only. It's very bizarre. I don't know why they would do it this way, but the company, North Graham Roads, pays Sole Dea Gloria $200,000 for a piece of property. And again, the property is a company where Anna is a member and Joseph Schumacher is on it, and it's at John Duggar's business. So there's been a lot of movement. It could have been these sales that helped them buy, that mortgage where they purchased that property. Maybe that mortgage is how they paid for their defense. And maybe the sale of that home is how they helped pay for Josh's defense. So that was a total of $650,000. If you ever need a private investigator, you are hiring Katie. Now, the tricky thing here is that they're all using different LLCs. So you have to check each LLC to see how everything is moving around. But again, all of that is public record. So because everything is intertwined, it's difficult. So I wanted to show you Joseph, to just further show to you that Joseph Duggar is listing sales. He's actually with Good Neighbor Realtor. And so Realty, let's see if I can find his. Okay, so Josiah currently has, so Joseph Duggar, who is listed as the principal broker for Good Neighbor Realty, which is the real estate company that his grandma started, they'll find these again. Josh is inflicting more pain and it will never end. Maybe. So Joseph Duggar, just to show you how this all works, I'm going to share this with you. These are the listings of the properties. So everything is it's in this property development area called Bella Vista. And so this property, I believe this is one of them that's owned by Ross Little. And then this is another one. These are all listings in the same development. These were, I believe, built by Jason or Austin. This is another one. And this is another one. So all of these, and this has a pending on sale. So the houses are going up extremely fast and they are selling very fast. Yesterday he had 3 up. This is a brand new listing and it already has an offer. And these are the properties. When you search the addresses, you will find that the properties are owned by either Ross Little or by Dwayne Swanson. So Dwayne Swanson is also building houses, and then Joseph Duggar is listing all of them. And I don't know, like, I'm not implying that any of this is illegal. Right now, the housing market is very booming in this area. Houses are selling extremely fast. They have a lot that's going on with this. And so right now, they're making a lot of money and they're getting funded allegedly by Ross Little. And I don't know how the Republican Party feels about that. I don't know if they're going to want to distance themselves from this or if they even care, but that's what's going on with that. So I'm going to turn back on the subscriber only chat, and I'm going to ask those of you that are going to contribute to the chat to be nice to each other and to not fight. Okay. And that's how Josh's defense was paid for, says Courtney. Yeah, so that piece of property that he gifted to them last year was sold, and then another piece was sold. So that looks like how Josh paid for his defense, which is an indirect way of Josh being paid by his dad. Okay. So we have subscriber only back up. So we're going to ask you guys to be super nice to each other. Okay. So let's talk about, so the boys are, I guess, kind of freaking out because everything is so intertwined. And, again, I think a lot of people are like sad because they thought that John David might be different or not involved in all of this. But the fact of the matter is all of the boys are working together. They have been working together for years. Josh Duggar has been a huge part of all of their business dealings. And so with this conviction, it affects every single one of them because all of their finances are intertwined. And that is making them feel vulnerable. Now, on top of all of that, the fact that Josh is now on the hot seat for sentencing, this can start to open up the feds looking at all of these LLCs, which could then lead to additional inquiries if they find things where things can get forwarded to the IRS. The tangled web of the Duggars could be very complex here. And by no means does 43 LLCs imply anything nefarious. They do have a lot of homes, and a lot of people do put homes in LLCs, but it's how they're using the LLCs and whether or not they're being used legally. I can't say. I don't really know any of that. I'm not a forensic accountant. I don't know any of those details. That's up to the IRS and all of them to figure out what legally is being done and if or not it's, you know, if it's kosher, if it's appropriate. Okay. So with all of that being said, the final thing that we've got is the documentary we talked to you about a little bit at the end with the Duggars. And so they have like I said, a new documentary coming out on Amazon. And then there's a separate one that will be coming out, not on Amazon. I don't know. I don't believe they've actually found I don't think they've found a company yet for this specific. They're not done in the production side of things. So I'm not sure right now where it'll be going. I think they're still in the filming process. I have spoken to people involved in the second documentary with the survivors who let me know that they're still in the phase of filming. It's not yet done. So yes, there's a lot of questionable stuff that's been around the Duggars for a very long time. And, you know, here's the thing is we're going to be continuing to do a deeper dive into all of this. And the thing with anything, and when you start to evaluate like what is happening with the Duggars and how it interacts with the IBLP, you have to start to look at what's called following the money. So a few things that I was able to uncover over the last the last week since I've been off is that some of the people involved with the Duggars are definitely affiliated with the IBLP. So Travis Story, who was Josh's attorney and opens all of these LLCs, he is apparently a IBLP member. They use the same They all use the same CPA. His name is Jimmy Burns. I'm not sure if Jimmy is a part of the IBLP. There has also been, now Ross Little, there's no known connection to the IBLP. I don't think he's a part of it. He does go to the church. He does apparently go to church with the Duggars. So everything has all been interacted there. You hope the IRS looks into their shenanigans. What you've presented looks like tax evasion. And I talked to tax specialist friends and sent me, Risha, I hope if it gets these charges are pressed. I don't know what is going on here. So again, tons and tons and tons of properties. And something I know for sure is that there are things called gift taxes. So one thing I was told by some people, several sources, is that Jim Bob likes to flip the properties in between LLCs, and he moves a house from one LLC to the next, and will sometimes gift a home to one of the kids. Jim Bob theoretically owns everything, even though it's in the child's name. And one question somebody brought up is whether or not they're avoiding not paying gift tax. If a property is over, I believe, $20,000, if a gift is over $20,000, you have to pay a tax on that. So I don't know if there's gift tax issues here. I don't know if there's tax evasion. I don't know if there's money laundering. I don't know. I'm just presenting you with what I've shown you. And I'm sure the professionals have eyes on these types of things. I don't have a lien on my home. All right. You probably have the wrong Katie. Sorry, Ton. Does that make you feel better? Do you feel like a big girl? Is that you being like from the cult, gonna call me out? Still waiting. All right. All right, so don't have any liens on my house. I promise. Okay, so I know they are rude. They are so rude. You think there's a way to gift as inheritance or inheritance early? It's been a long time since I listened to Dave Ramsey. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like I said, I don't really know. Yes, I have already done a video about the land that he owns in Tennessee, in Branson, Missouri. So that was a story that I broke actually months ago. He purchased the Tony Orlando Yellow Ribbon Theater, and he is turning that theater with Darren Myers and other people from the IBLP into a new IBLP hub that will have the IBLP's history along with a museum for kids and all kinds of curriculum and stuff. So yeah. If they start a church, then you know they're in for tax evasion. Well, so he did start the Yellow Ribbon Ministry, which is on my list of LLCs, which started, that's a nonprofit that he set up in, let me look at the date here. He opened Yellow Ribbon Ministries on April 8th of 2021. So on April 8th, Jim, Bob, and Michelle set up Yellow Ribbon Ministries in the state of Missouri that is attached to the Tony Orlando Theater. I don't know why they're in love with Branson. I don't really know. I'm not sure. You think it's 14,000? I don't really know what property laws are in terms of all of this. I was just saying that that could be an issue. I don't have a lien. I pay my taxes and I have a mortgage. So there's that. Spreading. Do I get nuts? That's actually improved so much. You love my purple sweater. Well, thank you. Tony would hate that. Is he using this as tax exempt money from TLC? I don't know, again, what he is actually. I've been told that Jim Bob, so the biggest rumor right now is that there's some speculation on whether or not he's going to take over the IBLP. And that I don't know. People have been saying that he might be trying to take over the IBLP, slating to take over the IBLP because he's still the largest name of the IBLP. He doesn't hold an official position, but now he's opening this theater, which is IBLP affiliated indirectly. All the people involved are IBLP. David Gibbs is a part of that theater as well. Happy. So long story short, we're going to continue to work through this. And then another thing that I'm working on top of that is one thing that we've been talking about. One thing that we've been talking about is that the Duggars and TLC. So this coming year, I obviously want to expand on covering a lot of different topics. And one of the things I want to look into, and something that I think is important for me, is that this story, more than anything, has opened up a world to me about the travesty of what's happening to children on reality television. I think it's really, really hard for people to understand that for 15, 16 years, you were given a idea of who the Duggars were, and that wasn't in fact who they were. And that has caused a ripple effect with a lot of people feeling deceived and hurt. And one thing I think I want to focus on this coming year is the different issues that are faced in the reality television world, specifically surrounding TLC and MTV, regarding lack of work permits for children, without any sort of trust accounts for kids, non-payment to children, overworking for kids, and just the various bad people that are platformed on these shows because of ratings. I started earlier today highlighting some of the people that have been problematic in the past and have been platformed by TLC. Obviously, there's been a lot of questions from many of you about a certain man that was on TLC from the Willis family. A lot of you guys had asked about Toby and if I would, catch up with what was going on with the Willis family. So Toby Willis, he's in jail for 40 years for doing horrible things to his children. He and his family were on the Willis Family, which was on TLC for 2 years. They also had a show on another channel, I think GMA, before that. They had another show that was before, but the same production company that makes Counting On also did the Willis clan or the Willis family. So there are a litany of so Figure Eight Productions is who is basically putting out all of these shows. So I looked through Figure Eight Films, which is the production company that is working for TLC and I'm making a lot of these shows. So Figure Eight Films produced John and Kate Plus Eight, Kate Plus Eight, Kate Plus Date, Bringing Up Bates, United Bates of America, the new show coming out called I Am Shauna Ray, which I'm completely not thrilled about. They did Growing Up McGee, which was on the Up Network. That's not on air. It was only on for 2 seasons. Sister Wives, Seven Little Johnsons, the Willis Family, Salvage Dogs, My Three Wives, which was a special about the Duggar family. A Duggar Leaves Home, which was Amy Duggar's special when she went to Nashville. A Table for 12, and Our Little Life. And that's not an exhaustive list. That's just a high-level list of all these different shows that are involved with this one production company that has a lot of people that are bad. So yeah, I'm not going to really discuss YouTubers. I don't really generally go, I stay away from the most part with YouTubers just because I don't like dealing with, I don't want to get into a situation where I'm going after another person's business on YouTube. I have my own feelings about the family vloggers and I have my own feelings and I don't agree with it. But at the same time, I don't want to make my business of going after other YouTubers. So we're going to stick to the reality television shows right now because they have humongous reaches. Okay. So I'm not sure if you guys have, there's way too much drama on YouTube. It's ridiculous. And then you have to deal with the people's stands. And I don't want to make a living out of attacking another YouTuber. That's really why we're going to delete that. We don't support him. Okay. We don't support anybody that's in certain channels and that kind of thing. So there is a channel that made a video. They've done 2 videos It's a cute older lady. Let me just pull up the channel name. It's in my description box. Let me just make sure I see it here. Hold on a second. So one thing that I think we haven't really talked about is how the other girls might be following in the footsteps of their parents. I think we're obviously hurt, sad, and upset about what happened to the Duggar daughters, but what are the Duggar daughters doing differently, and how are they navigating things differently for their children? And are they doing the same things as their parents, basically exploiting their children for views on YouTube and on Instagram and that kind of thing? So a YouTuber with a very small channel, but she has a very, she's so sweet. Her channel is called Simply Heart and Home. She has made a couple videos, and I wanted to just show you at the very end, and I've linked the full video in here, but I want to show you something that she had said about the girls that I think is very, I don't know, she said it very well. So this is her. Isn't she adorable? I want to be her friend. Okay.
To do a video about this, but right now I'm talking to you because you've been in this spot. You've been where your children are, where you didn't have a choice. Little Spurgeon or little, I can't remember anybody else's name right this month. Anyway, he doesn't have a choice who watches him. He doesn't understand that you're making money from filming him. He doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand that his innocent moments, which should be treasured by you and your husband and your family, are being watched by who knows who. People like your brother. People like your brother are watching them. And not only are they watching your children, they're taking notes. They're saying, Spurgeon likes this. Spurgeon goes to play here. Spurgeon, his favorite food is this. And if you think that there's not someone out there that looks at this and takes notes and thinks, well, one day, you know what? Maybe I'll come across him. And maybe I'll be able to say, hey, I'm your mother's friend. And let's make macaroni and cheese or whatever it is he likes to eat. Something like that. You know what? They can draw your children and you're just putting them in danger.
So she went on to sort of discuss, the fact that I think outside of Ginger, who has removed the girls from the show or the girls from her Instagram, that Jill, Jessa, and Joy, even though they went through their own problems and their own issues with Josh and grew up completely and utterly exploited by their parents, really said to them, you have a choice with your kids, and are you going to follow in your parents' footsteps and exploit your children the way that your parents exploited you? Do your kids know that you're making money off of them? Do your kids realize that their very innocent moments are being taken and used as content for your YouTube, for your Instagram, for your Facebook? Jessa has not only dedicated her life to exploiting her kids, now she is starting on Instagram and on Facebook doing this thing where she does things that Spurgeon and the Seawald kids say. And it's almost like they have grown up in a world where they don't have boundaries. They don't understand boundaries. So one of the most challenging things I think for a child that grows up on reality television, just from an outside perspective, is that they've been stripped of their privacy. They grew up where everybody was watching everything going on in their lives and people knew every intimate detail about them. And because of that, this family has made it seem normal to do things that are really not things that need to be shared. I understand that some people enjoy sharing their birth stories, But if we're going to be completely honest, there is nothing more intimate and personal to a woman than having her child. And when we have gone to a point where we are videoing and sharing that intimate moment of our child being born, where's the modesty to that? And as well as that's a moment that the world just doesn't simply need to see. I mean, does your child need to be seen coming out of you on the day they were born? Where's the privacy for your child? Now the whole world knows that your child is born. And, I understand that these videos and these posts make them a lot of money. But it's, again, very, very, it's sad. It's sad. And they don't, Joanna has so many photos of Gideon's in his diaper. I mean, there is a video of Gideon running and his diaper is literally falling off and you can see half of his butt hanging out of his diaper. Now, some people will be like, Katie, you're reaching. But again, he's a child that has a mom that has a huge platform and she is putting his little tushy out there for millions of people to see. Jessa also turned her birthing special into clickbait too. It is very intrusive for the children. So I think it's hard for them because they weren't given skills. They were not given any opportunity to learn anything. Their education was severely neglected by their parents. But now they are sort of now they're sort of like putting up more and more like following in their parents' footsteps because it's the only thing that they know, right? The only thing they know is that I will make money on my platform if I use my children. And Jim Bob and Michelle still use their kids for the same reason, because the big money in anything comes with kids. Kids are always the number one driver, the number one most viewed content on Instagram, on every social media platform, on television. Kids are the huge the younger demographic is where most of the viewing comes from. And so there's huge money there. But at the end of the day, it's just very sad because these are the people that, they didn't have a choice or a say in them being involved in it. And that's sad. They don't. Correct. And I, am someone that I practice what I preach. I used to overshare about my son and I used to put stuff about him online and I used to blog about him. And I realized when he was like 4, maybe 5, I couldn't do that anymore. And we stopped showing his pictures. So he has accidentally walked in on some of my live streams and you may have seen his face, but we don't post photographs of him online. We don't even show them on our personal Instagrams or our personal Facebooks. We don't let our family share photos of him. We just do not post photos about him online because he deserves his privacy. And if I could go back in time and not have put so much out there about him, I would go back and not do that again. So I think the only thing that you can do is do better and realize where you've made mistakes and try to help your child. And our digital footprints of our kids are being decided by us. Oh, they're making a ton. Jessa's video, her birth video, had over 2 million views. Jessa was, 2 million views. She's making over $20,000 on that one video. That's the low end. The low end would she be making $20,000 on that video. The low end. So she's making a lot of money if she's uploading consistently. So they make a ton. I mean, she has 2.3 million followers. Jessa does. Joy has 1.1 million. Jill has 1.7. Ginger has 1.4. Ginger has removed her kids from her Instagram. So I feel like Ginger has taken steps and understands that her children deserve privacy. And I might not agree with everything that Ginger and Jeremy do, but I do agree with their choice to allow their kids to have privacy. And I think as much as you feel like dedicated to these kids, they really do deserve privacy. So she's not actually going to see them. She's doing it from home. All right. So we're at the 1.5 hour mark. And as amazing as this has been, it is New Year's Eve. And I want you guys to have a good night with your families. I want you guys to all be safe. I want to introduce more of these topics around child safety and really digging into the problematic people that are on TLC. I'm going to continue working on the IBLP. We will always be exposing the IBLP. There's all these other facets of the IBLP. There's the IFB, and there's all these other interwoven, players. And on our Instagram, we are like posting more about the various players that are around the Duggars. And someone said, why do you say we? Well, because technically we, without a crystal ball, is myself, my husband. I say we because I have my moderators. I have people that are out as contractors that I pay that are helping me. So it's my business. I just think it's more professional to say we. I don't know. I'm just so used to saying we. I think of this as like a family. And obviously I could not do this without my husband. So this is a we production, a we production with my husband, who is downstairs with my son. And I want to go spend some time with him on New Year's Eve. This is such an interesting direction to go in. I hope so. All right. So happy New Year's to those of you, if you're in another country. For those of you in the UK that'll be turning New Year's, happy 2021. If you guys have if there's specific people that have been on TLC, if there's a lead that you know about, make sure that you you can send me messages on Instagram, although I don't check them very frequently. You can send me a message on Facebook, although I don't always respond. There's also my email. But if there's anything that you think I'm missing, you can always leave comments too. Thank you guys to my moderators for doing such a great job. And I want to thank you guys for allowing me to take the time off that I needed. I'll be back on Monday. I don't know if I'm going to do another live stream this weekend. We'll see. But for now, that's all I've got. And I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.